up? What up? It's your boy DJ Naeem. I want to give a huge shout out. Going out to my Jersey boys, breaking down these UFC cards, baby. Let's go.
Got a little mama and she chillin' by the poolside. Fashion over drip, body done with a hair tie. Ex keep calling, tell that boy he need to sit back. You don't got a bag, you can never get your chick back. Broke boys, we don't like them. Bad, 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 yeah, we pipe them. And I need some big money with some hype fans. Said I need some big money with some hype fans. Broke boys, we don't like them. Bad, 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 yeah, we pipe them. And I need some big money with some hype fans. Said I need some big money with some hype fans.
Check it. When I'm in Vegas, bring the drops out. Yeah. When I'm in Miami, bring the yachts out. Water, water.
Good evening, Mr. Valencia. How are we doing, sir?
Good evening, sir. How are you doing is the question I need to ask. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. All I'm trying to do is just make sure that everyone knows we're live. I'm gonna tweet the show out a little bit. Let everybody know that we're ready to talk fights again. Hopefully they either watching live and they interact. Last week, all the good luck charms, right? Leslie came on for the first time.
And guess what happened?
Yeah, I mean, listen, why don't you tell everybody what happened last week? So,
every week, if you've been following the show for some time now, every single week we put out what we like to call DGen parlays. Now, naturally, you would say, oh, he throws parlays, he's probably a DGen anyway. But listen, if you look at our track record for hitting these DGen parlays, yeah, might go cold a little bit, might hit a cold streak, but when we hit, we hit. So, this past weekend, my buddy, if you tuned in last week, Leslie was here, a couple people were in the comments, and we put up a DGen parlay. We put up a couple, but one of them, in particular one of them, smashed, and it smashed home. Steve, why don't you let them know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is I pick a couple of fights that I think are going to finish, right? So I want decent odds. And what were the one that we said online was Muniz by sub, which again during the show was plus 1,200.
And almost unimaginable.
Yeah, but you know what? By the time I put it in, I think I got it at plus 700. So it dropped a lot in like a 24 to 48 hour period. By the time I put the DGen parlays in, because again, not all the books have the lines that early. Like right now, I'm gonna whatever I come up with is I'm coming up with on the air, because I really didn't look at much in terms of parlay, like DGen parlay options, because they just, it's a normal card. It's a Saturday night card. It's not a pay-per-view. Like we're just going to play whatever's available. So it's just not everything's available on the market right now. But listen, some of the things I'm sure came out today. I didn't have a chance to look at it. I did my tape study, and then we go from there. But Drew, I think we want to start the show with a little shout out to one of your boys.
Oh yeah, shout out to my buddy Nick. Really good innovator, really good guy. Out of Florida. This is his product here. It's an innovative CBD. It's a nano liquid drops, 300 milligrams for the drops. I'm actually using the drops at the moment. The pain cream, Nick, my boy, send that up. I'd love to try that. But anyway, man, this product is pretty much what I use every day, before, after training, and it hasn't let me down since I have started using it since day one. So shout out to him. Follow their page. It's literally what you see on the bottle. Adapt Genetics. On Instagram, I believe on Facebook, pretty much everywhere. Check them out, man. You really, really won't regret it. Anyway.
Yeah, Nick, what I was going to say, too, I wanted to get myself some CBD, and I've wanted to get some stuff that I trust. So by all means, get in touch with Drew, get my information, and I'll pay for some CBD. I definitely will. And then, Drew, while we're here, we're doing our promos. Why don't we just do our BetMGM promo?
Well, there you go, guys. We have BetMGM. We're definitely approved affiliate here in Jersey, and for some reason in Iowa, right? I believe.
Correct, Iowa. Yep.
So check it out. We have two promos. You have a $600 first free bet when you sign up, or we have my favorite promo, which is the $1,000 match deposit. So you pretty much go to the casino side, deposit up to $1,000 if you want. They'll match it, and you can use it all over the BetMGM app or site, and you can have fun, man. Go at it. I mean, this week we have a pretty nice card. Last weekend was a nice card, so you can use that deposit, match your bet, and make some money. Let's get it.
Yeah, and again, let's get right into these quick picks, Drew. That's what everybody came here for. So let's get into some quick picks tonight. This is going to be UFC Vegas 27, I believe is the number. And this is Font versus Garbrandt. So as of now, we still have 13 fights. So Drew, I'm gonna start. I already have my picks up for some of these. Damir Ismagulov and Rafael Alves. Who you like here, brother?
I'm gonna go with Ismagulov. Here,
Yeah.
he was a guy who was in the UFC for some time, just took some time off, and from what I hear, I really hadn't heard from him. I guess I could tell you how long he took off, but he's a savage, so I'm going that way.
Next fight up there is Yancy Medeiros and Damir Hadzovic.
I'm going Yancy. Yancy's training out in Hawaii right now, exclusively with Max. So
yeah, I'm gonna go with Yancy also. I think Yancy can get him. He's also fought really good competition.
And he's a dog, so that's good plus money right there.
He is. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I didn't even look at odds for that. Let me write that down. Possible bet. All right. Joshua Kulabau and Yilen Shah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go with Kulabau. I wasn't able to really see much on Shah, so I'm gonna go Kulabau.
Well, this is Shah's debut, so I mean,
that's why I didn't see much.
Yeah. So it's his debut. Nickname's Wolverine, 19-6, so he does have some experience. But fighting outside of the UFC, you know how that could be questionable sometimes. But I might, to be completely honest with you, I might take a stab at Yilan, so I'm gonna go that way probably.
Really? All right. Let's go to Victor Rodriguez and Bruno Silva.
Bruno Silva. Now, we talked about BGM parlays, right, guys? Write this down because we're going to piece this together throughout the show. Like we said, we're doing this live. We don't really like to plan a lot of things. It's funny, right? Even before a show, I was trying to prepare, which is something we don't do ever. And, I was reminded by my buddy that we just got to go, and this is what we're doing. We're going. So piece number 1, Bruno Silva, knockout in either 1 or 2. I'm personally going to put that on 2 different tickets. So I'll have him in 1 ticket, knockout in round 1, and another ticket, knockout in round 2. I just think he can get it done. Victor Rodriguez just got blasted in his last fight, so that's why I like it as my first piece for our DGM parlay.
Okay, Bruno Silva. I was going to go Bruno Silva also, but you're calling your shot right now. Let's see what we got next. Claudio Silva and Court McGee.
It's weird, right? I want to say Claudio, but something my gut really says Court McGee is going to grind out this dub, so I'm going Court McGee. All
right, so I'm going to go Claudio. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Court McGee wins this fight. His path to victory is grinded out, right? It's always his path to victory. Ben Rothwell and Chris Barnett. I'm on Ben Rothwell. I think Rothwell actually gets the finish here. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, Ben Rothwell. I mean, it's going to be fun because Chris Barnett might do some backflips, and seeing a man of that size do some backflips or weird kicks is awesome. But Ben Rothwell is just going to win.
So this next fight, Bill Algeo and Ricardo Ramos, we were cage side at Ring of Combat for Bill Algeo's fight. Let me just look it up real quick, which one it was, because he's a Jersey guy. It was John De Jesus, I believe. Wasn't it De Jesus when he had the rear naked choke? And actually, I think we were there for the James Gonzalez fight also.
Yeah, when he won by a head kick.
Yeah, I think we were there for both of those. He had a rough loss, a tough loss in Contender Series. And then he went back and beat Tim Dooling, who he did beat at Ring of Combat. We've seen him fight a few times on Ring of Combat. That tough loss to Ricardo Lamas, right? It was 1-1 going into round 3. I know this is quick pick, guys, but again, I have a bet here, so I'm just, letting you know what I see. Tough loss to Ricardo Lamas. Was able to come back and beat Spike Carlisle pretty convincingly. And probably even beat him in round 1, which is what nobody's able to do to Spike. But I think he probably beat him in round 1 too. And then I think he's going to get Ricardo Ramos here. So I'm going to go with Bill Algeo from Jersey, Senor Perfecto. What do you think here, bro? Actually, he's not. They say he's fighting out of Russia, but I mean he always fights in Jersey. So I just assume Jersey.
No. He's out of King of Prussia.
King of Prussia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's out of King of Prussia, PA. So it's pretty awesome. Not a lot of people, I guess, you can hear fighters coming out of there. So El Senor Perfecto. I mean, we've seen him on the circuit now in the UFC. In his Contender Series loss, look who he lost to. Somebody who's tearing up the PFL circuit at the moment. and Lockley. So I mean, it's not a bad loss. Then if comes back, gets a nice win over Spike, then goes into that Lamas fight, right? If you only look at the third round, and it's funny because I heard this in another talk show when I was watching some tape earlier. It's funny, and I didn't notice this until now. If you watch the third round, you're gonna think, "Wow, Bill Algeo, you suck," because Ricardo Lamas was starting to make a run in that third round, and I feel like that's what won him the round. But
Definitely.
I feel, but in the first two rounds, Bill Algeo, even on short notice, was bringing it to Lamas, and not only bringing it, like he looked like he belonged. You know what I'm saying? Because for a fighter that comes out of the Contender Series, you always have to wonder: is he going to live up to the limelight, or is he going to burn out soon? And someone like Bill Algeo, who I feel like had a little bit of hype behind him, do you think he'll ever win a belt? Maybe. But, I mean, the fact that he can be in there with Ricardo Lamas and not only be in there, but actually beat him for some rounds, beat him in rounds, and potentially almost win the fight on short notice, maybe in a full camp he beats him decisively. And I feel like Ricardo Ramos, I've never heard of him, being completely honest with you. So maybe I'm just lacking study of tape or whatever it is, but I just don't think he's going to do anything against Bill, and Bill gets it done here.
I can't get a good read on Ramos because he looks good. He's a team alpha male guy. I remember that this fight was canceled a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started to talk about that fight, like we went back to the Zahabi fight, right? If you remember, he was the one who hit the spinning back elbow on Zahabi. I think he did like 2 spinning back elbows in a row, and the second one hit and knocked Zahabi out, and we didn't see Zahabi for like a year and a half or whatever.
Yeah, it went viral.
Yeah, it went viral. I mean, it was a great knockout. Don't get me wrong. But like I look at his other fights and I look how he fights and who he fights. He's been grounded a few times. He's been knocked out. He's kind of gassed a little bit late, and he's getting older. So again, if he's getting a little bit older, is it tougher for him to make these weigh-ins and get down to weight? Like I don't know. I know he's up at 145. Is this natural for him? I don't know. I feel like he's just. I can't get a good read on him, and for to that end, like I feel like Bill Algeo is in a great spot. Like he's matured and he's in that spot where he's looking to win this fight. I feel like Ramos also is low volume with his striking. He doesn't strike much. So yeah, my first bet is on Bill Algeo. Actually, I think I got him on -120.
That's legit.
Yeah, and I think it's going to go to decision. I think he wins by decision. I think he wins 2 of those 3 rounds. But I like that bet. So Drew, now we're into our main card. So you know what time it is, bro. We gotta zoom in. We gotta get ourselves ready. We gotta let everybody know that right now we are on Book It. The thing about Book It though is they do not have UFC lines just yet, but Drew puts a lot of his bets on Book It, so you can get his bets on Book It. And then again, we're a big fan of Book It. We've been told that they're gonna have UFC lines. They'll have NFL lines. They have just about all the other major sports. Hopefully UFC is up next. And again, last time Drew did the read last time. I got to do the read this time. BetMGM. All right, sign up. Use our link. Use our affiliate link, and get yourselves a pretty good $600 risk-free first bet, and you get a nice little deposit bonus on the first deposit. So we'll go from there. So Drew, I'm gonna send this fight to you because I think my breakdown is pretty straightforward. Jack Hermanson and Edmund Shabazian. This is also another fight that is rescheduled from a few weeks ago. Jack Hermanson is -150. Edmund Shabazian is +130. I think the numbers are a little skewed. They are skewed in Jack's favor, and it's not like Edmund, like the number. For example, what numbers am I talking about? Strikes landed. Jack's at 5.03. Edmund's at 3.85. Does that tell the whole story? Probably not, because if Edmund connects, like he has the power to knock Jack out. The issue, Edmund Shabazian takedowns, is that number a little bit skewed? I think it is too, because is he going to get 4 takedowns against Jack Hermanson? No. But is he going to gas himself out if he even goes for takedowns? That's a possibility. So I think the numbers are a little skewed here. If anything, I think the 15-minute numbers for Jack do favor him, because if he gets this fight late into rounds 2 and rounds 3, and Edmund gasses the way he did last time, which again may not be the same type of fight because this may not go to the ground much. I mean, Derek Brunson obviously took him down and laid on his chest and took the air out of him. But this is something that everybody was worried about with Edmund because he just hasn't really been in big-time fights late into fights. So, Drew, what do you think here, bro?
So one thing I like to point out, especially since you went to that stat about the takedown average and about the strikes landed. Now, the strike accuracy, Shabazian, when he hits at 51% rate compared to Jack's 44% rate. Now, Edmund in this case is probably the better striker here. I'm pretty sure he is because Jack, although he does have an in and out style where he likes to poke and be out on the outside pretty much. And he does have a reach advantage by 3 inches. He's the shorter fighter, but in this case, he's the one that does the more work and is the more of a workhorse. I mean, look at the takedown average. You say it, right? He has 4 takedowns to Jack Hermansson's 1. But oddly enough, Jack's defense is at 75% compared to Edmund's 58%, right? So, I mean, maybe that tells a story right there. Is it the fact that people try to shoot on Jack, and when they shoot on Jack, that's all it takes because you really don't come back up? I mean, he pretty much finishes people. I was watching tape today where he finished somebody with a guillotine I've never seen in my life. And that's where it's weird, right? For some reason, that's where I see this fight going. I mean, Edmund has a chance of putting Jack Hermansson out. But how many fights have you seen Jack Hermansson been put out? I don't think many. You know, he's a very durable guy. He's a very durable fighter. All of his losses, I mean, he lost to Jared Cannonier, but I mean, Cannonier has a cannon on his hand, no pun intended. Yeah. And, and then he loses to Thiago Santos, who has a hammer on his chest. So, I mean, if you're going to lose to anybody by getting knocked out, I guess it would be those 2 guys. He has been subbed in the past.
But you're talking about a BJJ black belt subbed him. You know what I mean? I don't think Edmund is the guy to sub him. Which is perfect that you said that because that's where I lead to this point. Like, I don't think Edmund is going to take Jack to the ground and pretty much have his way the way that these guys who have beaten Jack on the ground have. You know what I'm saying? So what is Edmund's path to victory? Is he going to look for that one punch? Is he going to up his volume? Maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong. Edmund is a full lifelong martial artist. So is Jack. I mean, Edmund's been doing this since he was 9 years old. If he follows his story, he was in the gym when Ronda Rousey was a champion. You know, so I mean, he does have some history. He does know what this game's about. Maybe he gets a knockout. You know what I'm saying? But dude, he just got ground and pounded by Derek Brunson. I mean, do you maybe? I mean, listen, Jack Hermansson. If people don't remember, Jack Hermansson was known for ground and pound. Jack Hermansson is still known for ground and pound. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So who's to say that Jack Hermansson is not, if he gets taken down, or maybe he shoots, you know, because he does prong that in and out style. Maybe he gets Edmund to the ground and never lets him get back up, which leads me to my next part of my DGen parlay is Jack Hermansson to win by sub. Doesn't matter the round. I just think he's going to win by sub. That just pieces up. Now, listen, this is part of the DGen parlay. So I say that it's a DGen pick. I'm calling my shot saying Jack Hermansson is going to set Edmund Shabazian. I don't know what round, but I feel like he just gets it done. Probably grounds and pounds him right into an arm triangle, if you want me to get even more specific. So there you go. That's piece number 2 for the DGen parlay on my side. All right, so I'm going to put Hermansson by sub plus 200. I'm going to give you the bet that I like on this, Drew. Let me go full screen just so we make sure everybody sees this real quick. So you saw that Hermansson wins by sub right now is plus 200. So that's Drew's bet right there. I'm going to go up a little bit. I really like over 1.5 rounds, minus 135. I think that the first round, you know, I don't think the sub's going to happen in the first round. And honestly, I like the sub call. I do like that because I think if he gets him down, I think Jack's the kind of guy who's going to go for a sub. He's not going down to, you know, for position and to hold him down. He's going down to finish the fight, especially late in the fight. You know what I mean? If that sub comes in the second round, so I could see like a late second round, try to get Edmund down, or maybe even in the third round if he's able to gas him and get Jack down. So my pick is Jack. My bet for this is going to be over 1.5 rounds. I haven't made it yet, but I like that, so I may make that bet. I like that line. And then, if I were gonna go with Drew again, he just went sub plus 200. I'll look and see if they have sub by round, but I would go sub.
I mean, hey, check this out real quick before you even say that.
There it is.
I just found Jack Hermanson by sub at plus 500.
Where'd you find it?
On FanDuel.
On FanDuel. So Hermanson wins by sub in round 1 is plus 600.
Amazing.
Hermanson wins by sub in round 2 is plus 900. That's the one I like. I like round 2, and then I like Hermanson wins by sub in round 3 plus 1200. I like the end of round 2. I like I like a minute left in round 2. I wish I could bet a minute left in round 2 Hermanson sub. Give me all the money if that hits. 1
You're
minute.
a sicko.
Bro, if it hits, you know what I'm gonna say next week. We're gonna talk that ish. You know what I mean? So just let that marinate. Let that marinate. All right, let's bring everybody back to reality. Drew, let me introduce this next fight. They've had enough of that fight. We'll introduce the next one for everybody. And this is David Dvorak and Raulian Pavia. And I'll be honest with you, I like Pavia. I like Pavia, and I thought he beat Kai Kara France. I actually think I bet him that fight. I definitely played him in DraftKings against Kai Kara France, and I thought I got that win. He has he has some pretty good fights. He actually lost to Bontorin, right? Who just had a big win last week. Mm-hmm. And he was actually piecing up Bontorin, but because Bontorin was able to cut his eye early in that fight, the eye cut was so bad that
it just ruined the fight.
Yeah, they ended the fight. I believe it was after round 1. I think it was round 1, and I think Pavia is a very good striker, quick hands, and he doesn't mind going to the ground. So again, I'm going to take my dog shot here on Pavia and his experience over Dvorak. And I'm real comfortable with it. I like it in DraftKings. I like him as a dog in DraftKings. I don't even know. I haven't looked at the DraftKings lines, but I'm pretty sure he's a dog on the betting line. So, I'm gonna go with Raulian Pavia. I like him a lot. What do you know here, Drew, about Dvorak? Are you a fan of him?
Dvorak's pretty good. I really hadn't done a lot of tape study on him prior to this card and me having to do it for tonight. But I like his style. I mean, against Pavia, who's more of in my opinion, I feel like maybe might be the better striker here. I mean, just look at their strikes landed per minute. They're both very, very similar. So their output is there. Now, the accuracy favors Dvorak a little bit more, which is what I like. Because if you look at Pavia's style now, with power, sometimes it's weird with all these guys who have a lot of power. For some reason, they're very wild. Not all the time, but they're not as as technical as they should be, which is probably going to be a theme when we talk about the main event later. But anyway, now this is where the difference is, right? Strikes absorbed per minute. Dvorak takes 3.17 shots per minute, while Pavia takes almost 5 shots per minute. You see what I'm saying here? So who gets in more gun battles? Who gets in more brawls? I feel like Pavia. And if you watch him on tape, there is a lot of flurries and a lot of different exchanges. Now, he does come out on top in these exchanges, which is awesome and which is the good thing. But one other big thing to point out in this fight, and which is why I think it's going to be pretty much lightning in a bottle and it's going to be awesome, so don't blink, is the takedown defense. None of these guys get taken down. Dvorak has a 75% takedown defense, while Pavia has 80%. And they rarely goes for takedowns, so we're going to see a match. So if anything, my favorite play here and my favorite pick is probably that, and this will be a parlay piece. I probably wouldn't bet it straight up depending on where that line is at the moment, but I'd probably go, you see how that over 2.5 rounds is there and it's minus 210? It's crazy, right? Because I have the gut feeling that it's probably going to end early. So I'd probably go under 2.5 with plus 175, or, where's the other one? The one I was about to say, or Dvorak wins by KO TKO.
So I don't mind Pava plus 120, and I want to find Pava by decision. I honestly think this is going to go to decision. So Pava plus 230, I don't mind that either. Which was the one that you just said, Drew? Under 2.5?
Under 2.5, just because I feel like this one's going to be action packed, and just because of the stats that I pointed out and how I feel like Pavia, just from what I see, is a little bit more wild in his strikes. And he does tend to absorb more. I feel like Dvorak is just going to get the better of him on the feet and probably just land a lot of the cleaner shots.
All right. I mean, I wouldn't say we disagree on that fight. I just say we disagree on the finish. I think we're both looking Pavia, but I think
No, I mean,
finish. I think it's going to go to decision.
I mean, listen, I'm leaning. I mean, listen to this. Dvorak's defense is 63% compared to Pavia's 51%. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of leaning, Pavia at first when I looked at it initially, because Pavia. But the more and more I look at the stats and the more and more I looked at the numbers, I kind of like Dvorak, to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
So I might lean that way. Now remember, this isn't an official pick, but I do like the parlay piece. And this fight probably going under 2.5, just for a long shot. Just 'cause I feel like this one's not going to go to the judges. I could be wrong, but like I told you prior, a lot of these fights that are matched to go minus 200 all the way to the judges, I don't feel like that's going to happen here. Dvorak gets the better of Pavia here.
So Drew, we're getting into the point where I gotta drop a D-Gen parlay.
Do it.
All right. So I'm gonna introduce this next fight. Let me just make sure it is the next fight here. So I'm all over the place with all windows open and this and that. Yeah, so it is. So Felicia Spencer and Norma Dumont. Okay. I don't see this fight lasting long. I see Felicia Spencer coming out and getting that submission, which, Felicia Spencer is tough as hell. You could say whatever you want about her fighting style, how she approaches the fight, which, again, I don't even know what you say about it, but you can say whatever you want. But she lost to Amanda Nunes by decision. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't a close decision at all, right? She spent a little bit of time defending herself, and then she spent a lot of time surviving because she couldn't get the takedown on Amanda. Chris Cyborg, again, 3-round fight, beat her up pretty good. Amanda was actually a 5-round fight that she was able to hang in there. Those are the best two fighters at 145. You know what I mean? And Felicia Spencer is a legit 145er. And I believe she cuts a decent amount of weight to get to 145. If I remember from the last interview I watched with her before she was about to fight Amanda Nunes. Mm-hmm. So she is legit on the ground. She's a BJJ black belt and teaches BJJ. All right, she teaches jiu-jitsu at the academy that she trains at. And Norma Dumont, Drew, you tell me this, right? What belt are you, Drew?
I'm a purple belt, and I actually just got promoted last night. Pretty much got a little bit more tape on my belt. So okay. If anybody knows jiu-jitsu, I have 4 stripes on that purple belt, which is weird to say, but that just means I'm really close to brown.
So Drew, what would happen if you fought a black belt?
If he's a competition black belt who competes often, I'd probably get my ass kicked.
Okay, so Norma Dumont is a purple belt, I believe. In 2019, she was a purple belt. So again, she may have multiple stripes. She may have another belt, but she's going against a legit black belt. What do you expect to happen if Felicia Spencer gets her down to the ground?
I mean, if I'm Felicia Spencer and I know that wealth of knowledge in jiu-jitsu and I'm going up against a purple belt, all I have to do is negate Norma Dumont's MMA and just sub her.
Yeah, and that's what I think is going to happen. So again, in this fight, the Deegan parlay is when does that sub happen? I think that sub happens in rounds 1 or rounds 2. So Drew, I'm going to bring the odds up and we can try to figure out what the odds are for this. I still have the odds up for the last fight. So Felicia Spencer's minus 165. I believe I think I bet at like 152 or something like that. I think that's what I posted, 150, 152. But I want to see under 1.5 rounds. I like that. I'm going to tell you, I think this fight is going to be very short. So under 1.5, I'm going to put that as a bet at plus 240. Okay. Under 2.5 rounds, bro, I'm definitely betting that. All right. Easily multiple units on under 2.5 rounds. I just think Spencer's going to beat her within the first 2 rounds. I actually think it may happen in round 1. Spencer wins. Let's see it here. Spencer wins
by submission. Go up. That can't be right.
Wins by submission plus 295.
What? I'm sorry. Did I miss something watching Norma Dumont strike or something? What is she about to do in this fight?
I mean, I think she's going to strike. That's all Norma Dumont.
No. I get it, but like, what? Why is that plus 295? People really don't get Felicia Spencer's. Am I hyping this up to her jiu-jitsu? I don't get it. What?
Listen, I don't think anyone's hyping anything up. I'm just telling you, like, again, last week it was very cut and dry to me. This week is very cut and dry. Spencer wins by submission in round 1 is plus 900. I like that. Spencer wins by submission in round 2. Where is that? Did I miss it? Spencer wins by submission in round 1. Spencer wins
right there. Round 1 is plus 900.
Submission in round 2 is plus 1,000. I mean, I think that's the way this fight goes. Drew, what do you think?
I'm happy we're here. If you guys can't get it by now, I'm definitely leaning Felicia Spencer. I'm definitely putting money on Felicia Spencer, and Felicia Spencer is going to round out my DGen parlay with her winning by sub. I didn't even know it was at plus 295, and that almost feels like a steal. Now listen, if you look at the stats, Felicia Spencer, right? If you go to UFC stats and you look at the stats and the breakdown of the fighters head to head, you can see that Felicia Spencer pretty much gets beat up. She's almost like a punching bag compared to the strikes absorbed from Norma Dumont. For example, strikes absorbed for Felicia Spencer is pretty much at 6. She's at 5.5. And then you look at strikes absorbed from Norma Dumont, she's at 2.65. Her defense is at 72% compared to Spencer's 43%. And then her takedown defense is at 100% compared to Felicia Spencer's 14% takedown defense. Now, numbers skewed? I think so. Because if you look at Norma Dumont, I mean, and you look at her tapaji, she's brand new. She just started fighting it, I guess. She doesn't even have amateur stats up. It's literally just her pro career, and she's 5-1. And she fought people who were 0-0, 1-0, 0-2. So
she got destroyed by. Excuse me, I got the hiccups there. She got destroyed by Megan Anderson, and then she lost to Ashley. I'm sorry, she beat Ashley Evans Smith, who, not for nothing, but she fought her at 135 pounds. She was 4 pounds overweight. So, of course, she was able to outstrike Ashley Evans Smith. Ashley Evans Smith is not even a 135er. She should be down. You know what I mean? And then she's 4 pounds overweight, so she struggles to make the weight. So, again, I still think she's a natural 145er. Felicia Spencer, she can't make 135. So she's going to have the grappling advantage. She's going to get her down, and she's going to submit her. Like, I think it's just cut and dry here, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, listen, unless she wants to make it a fight, because another thing is her average fight time is 11 minutes, 45 seconds. So Felicia Spencer, although I love her for the sub, I mean, she does grind out a lot of her wins, and she just gets the job done. She just knows how to win, right? But again, if you're a fighter, you always look for the easiest path to win, right? Her easiest path against Amanda Nunes was to survive. That's it. Her easiest path in this fight is to grapple, in my opinion. Absolutely grapple. Get it to the ground however you can. I mean, test that 100% number that Norma Dumont has in the stats, and just grind it out, man. She'll just like I talked about Jack Hermanson grinding his way into an arm triangle win. Maybe that happens here. I mean, I don't know why, but I love the arm triangle when it comes to submissions and it comes to MMA and it comes to just jiu-jitsu, period. It's such a beautiful move. You get them out, punch someone's face in, and then move the arm to the side and choke them to sleep. Doesn't get any easier than that. And I feel like this is probably going to be what Felicia Spencer gets it done with. And I can't wait to see it. I mean, because can you bring back the numbers? What is she at right now? Like, what did the line open up? Where is it at right now when it comes to Felicia?
Yeah, let me get it. I didn't expect you to do that. Hold on a second.
No, yeah, I just had the thought. Let me see. Felicia Spencer.
I was already on to the next fight. She's at minus 145 right now.
Like, doesn't that seem like a steal? Felicia Spencer at minus 145 against.
So this is the thing. She opened up at minus 350. So some book opened her up at minus 350. I didn't realize it opened up that high. And then again, just watch this trajectory. It got bet down. It's at minus one. I don't know, minus 173 here. So maybe if it's even a little bit higher. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's pretty cut and dry. I'm surprised. And I think the sub happens round 1 or 2.
Well, I think that's a steal. And for all my unit bettors, I'm calling that a 3-unit max bet. Now, if you follow my units, if you ever followed my picks on Book It Sports, that's where I put all my picks up for the day. That's where I've been putting up all my NBA, MLB, NHL picks. Because we don't only do UFC. UFC is our specialty, but we pretty much give you all across the board all the time. So yeah, with this fight here, Felicia Spencer by sub, or Felicia Spencer minus 145, 3 units, bet it, because that's the max that I ever go. I don't know about 5U, 10U, 20, whatever, man. 3 units max, whatever your number is, 3 times that, and let's make some money.
Drew, do you remember how many units I had on our boy Benil Dariush last week?
37, the same amount that I had on Charlie's.
I had 37.5 units. At 37.5 units. And it hit, brother. It hit. Honestly, I'm gonna say it right now. I am shocked. If you watch tape, I am shocked at the number of people who were picking Tony Ferguson. It was almost like they didn't watch the Charles Oliveira fight. If you're telling me that Charles Oliveira did that to Tony Ferguson, why did they not think that Benil Dariush was going to do the same thing? I don't get it. So there were people picking Tony. I want to know how many people actually bet Tony, because if you pick them and he's plus money, you would think you're going to bet him, right? I mean, if I look at someone and I pick them to win and I don't bet them, I'm like, at plus money, it's like, well, you're not really picking them to win. You don't believe in that pick.
No confidence.
So I'm just saying. And again, don't get me wrong. Anyone who watches this, we're looking to bet. We're not looking to pass on fights. Some people are looking for this big advantage. I am looking for the slightest advantage, and I am going to bet it. When I see a big advantage, I put 37.5 units on it. That's how I play it. That's how I play it. We're here to gamble. We're not here to talk about gambling. We're here to gamble. Right? That's the difference in our show, Drew. So again, we're gonna get into this next fight, and I bet against this guy last time he was out. So let me at least introduce the fight. It's Justin Tafa and Jared Vanderaa. Jared Vanderaa, this was another one of those fights where when I saw Jared Vanderaa and Sergey Spivak, I bet Spivak immediately. And I used him in a parlay the second time around. I was just disappointed in the odds. The odds got crazy. I think it was like minus 275 or something like that. But again, I haven't seen anything from Vanderaa. He won in the Contender Series. He was losing the entire fight up until the point where he basically got his finish. So I haven't seen anything from Vanderaa that's impressive, that's UFC caliber. He got a finish on Contender Series at heavyweight, so they put him in the UFC, is more or less what I see. Now, Justin Tafa was feeling himself and decided to run in on De Castro and got himself leveled. He literally fell on his face. You remember that? I believe De Castro was fading back. He was almost up against the cage, and I think it was a left hook that he caught Tafa coming in, and he beat him. And then again, Tafa goes out and beats Juan Adams. Surprise, surprise. And then loses a decision to Felipe, which honestly, I thought he looked pretty good. I watched that fight again.
I thought he won.
Yeah, I thought he won. I thought he looked really good in that fight. I just don't see what Vanderaa is going to bring to Tafa. And honestly, if Felipe fought Vanderaa, Felipe would be favorite. He would just piece him up. The one thing about Vanderaa that concerns me is he does have the reach advantage, which I don't think he really uses it much. And he has the height advantage. So is he going to push Tafa up against the cage and try to take him down? That would be his best bet. That's the only thing I'm worried about. So I really do like Justin Tafa to win. If you want to do a double chance, it's obviously not going to be a sub, but obviously they know that, so the odds are going to reflect that. But I like him by decision or KO. I kind of favor the KO within the first 1.5 rounds. It could be a decision once it gets into round 3. It's probably going to be a decision because these guys, will be somewhat tired. But honestly, Vanderaa doesn't look in great shape. So if he fades anyway, maybe Tafa gets a late knockout. But I'm going to call Tafa by knockout. I don't mind taking that. Joe, what do you think here, bro? Did I miss anything?
No. I think you hit it right on the head. The only thing, because I mean, just looking at the stats, right? Justin Tafa is the more technical striker here. I mean, the striking accuracy is 59% to 52, so both these guys can strike and they're pretty accurate. But if you look at Justin Tafa, he's always the smaller fighter, right? In pretty much all of his fights. But what makes the difference? It's his power and how precise he is. Because when he lands, he has the chance of putting your lights out pretty much every single time. I mean, they almost share the same amount of average fight time, which is 6 minutes and 23. So if you're looking for a bet, under 2.5 is probably it, because these guys aren't going to the third round. If anything, that's just what I feel like, because Jared Vanderaa, in his style, he likes to grind it out, try to get guys to the ground, which is one thing I don't think you pointed out and might make the difference here. Jared's takedown accuracy is 100%. Now, mind you, it's only based off, I think, his most recent fights, from what I can see on UFC stats, which is only 2 fights. But that's pretty good. But takedown defense for Justin Tafa, 100%. So, I mean, is Justin going to stuff a couple of the shots? That's what I feel like he needs to do to get this fight either on the cards and to keep it standing. Because when Jared feels the power, I feel like he's going to try to take those shots and try to take Tafa down. Tafa does train with really good guys. He has that city kickboxing team, I think, behind him, or like works with a couple of their guys. Plus his brother is a really good kickboxer, well known. So the striking advantage here is why I lean with Tafa, and why I feel like your bet is perfect. It's for the double chance, KO or by points. And if you want to, have fun with some props, I'm not making this part of a DGEM parlay. I'm just saying maybe you bet it straight up, drop a unit or half a unit on it, is Tafa to win by KO. Because if he does touch him and he does catch Jared with his chin out, now keep in mind, Jared Vandera's reach, it's 80 inches to Tafa's 74. So Tafa, just like in every fight, he has to find his way inside. So maybe he catches a nice uppercut. Maybe he catches Jared on his way in for a shot. You know what I'm saying? And that's probably where I see it happening. I mean, listen, strike landed per minute, Tafa's 5.5 strikes to Jared's 2. So what's Jared's game plan here? Is he going to throw 1 or 2 punches, take it straight to the cage, try to grind it out, try to grind out a win against Justin Tafa? I don't think so. Justin Tafa is a small guy, but he's very strong. He's very technical. And if he doesn't get the knockout, I'm just like you, but I think he just gets a decision win here.
Yeah, I think that's the way to play it. Maybe a double chance and just parlay it. Maybe the best bet.
What's Justin Tafa to win by decision? That has to be plus money just because of the power dynamic.
Yeah, let me get it real quick. Let me show everybody so they can see what we're looking at too. I don't want to hide anything here. Tafa submission. Tafa wins by decision plus 479.
Look at that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it's far fetched. I mean, when you talk about Vanderaa, he's a big guy. He's only been finished once by strikes, and that was Sergey Spivak, I believe. I don't think he's been finished. I think he may have been subbed once or twice, and he may have lost a few decisions. Usually when he wins, he knocks people out. But I think he's going to want to strike. I don't think he's going to shy away from the striking. I think he'll go for a takedown, but I think I think he thinks he has an all-around game. I think what he should try to do is take Tafa down, push him up against the cage, take him down. I think that's his path to victory, and grind out rounds. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be successful with that. So
yeah.
I'll give it that. All right, now this next fight, I want to throw it to you because I don't feel like I have a strong lean. I have a lean, but I don't have a strong lean. And I think this is really, really tight, this fight. I feel like I went back and forth when I was watching tape. So this is, I'm going to go with Yan Zaman. I think Yan is the first name. With the Chinese names, we always get mixed up when we send them back and forth. But I think Yan's the first name. And then Carla Esparza. I'm going to pick, I've been back and forth. If we would have done the show yesterday, I'm picking Yan. If we do the show today, I'm picking Carla. It's like I can't decide who to go here. I'm going to give you the numbers, and then Drew, I'm going to go to you. The height, Yan has a 4-inch height advantage. They have the same reach, and when it comes to strikes landed, the thing that struck out to me is Yan 6.42 strikes landed per 15 minutes. Carla's 2.29. again, I think Carla's level of competition is better. You know, she's fought a very good group of girls. But again, the thing that separates her is her takedowns. And I think that Carla is going to be able to take down Jan. I think it was Gadelia in her last fight who had 2 takedowns in round 1. And then, you know, Jan was able to stay on her feet the rest of that fight. Gadelia, as we know, kind of gasses a little bit and wants to go back and forth. I think Carla's going to pursue the takedown. And I think if she gets 1 takedown around, I think she'll be able to win this fight. Jan did some good work off her back against Gadelia, I noticed. And may have even won. I think it was round 1. Like, people were tweeting, did she just win the round 1? You know how they show the tweets on UFC, MGM Plus? And they were like, did she just win round 1 from her back just by outstriking, you know, Gadelia from her back? And I was thinking the same thing as I was watching the fight. I didn't remember the fight, but I was thinking the same exact thing. Like, she is very active on her back, but she doesn't mind being on her back. So she'll be on her back if she gets taken down for a substantial amount of time before she gets up. So, Drew, you tell me, what do you think here? You got any other strong takes on this fight?
My biggest thing that stands out to me is the takedown accuracy and takedown defense, right? You have Jan 75% on both, right, compared to the 35% and 48% for Carla Esparza, right? Now, what is it that when you look at Carla Esparza, what is she going to do? What has she always done? She's going to grapple. She's going to use her striking just to get to the legs, just to get you up against the fence and try to get you down to the ground for ground and pound, look for a sub, and win in that nature. And all of her fights, it's weird. It's always a sweat. It feels like she just edges everybody out. And keep in mind, something cool, a little tidbit for this fight. It is said already that whoever wins this fight gets a shot at Rose, right?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Who beat Rose out of these 2? Carla. How did she beat her? By sub. Now, keep in mind, it was early in Rose's career when how old was it? Rose had hair, and it was in a ponytail. So that just tells you a little bit about that.
I may have had hair, bro. You didn't even know. Even back that long.
No, but seriously, I mean, Carla Esparza's way of winning is, I mean, the reason why that number I feel like is so wide and such a disparity when it comes to strikes landed, 6, almost 7 strikes to Carla's 2.5 almost, or less than 2.5 strikes, is because Carla really doesn't use her striking to hurt. It's more of like just setting up her shot, setting up her weight inside, because again, she's always the smaller fighter. Although her reach is the same here, she is the smaller fighter. And with smaller fighters, you need to get inside to do all your damage. So she's going to use her striking just to set up her shots, get inside, and cause as much damage as she can, ground and pound, and doing it that way. Now, where I don't see it happening is in this fight against Jan, because just like you said it, Claudia Gadelia, who's an OG of this division, if she can take you down, good. That's supposed to happen. That's Claudia Gadelia, right? She's a BJJ black belt. She's well known. She's a savage. So if she doesn't get you down, I mean, you're just either really good or you had a really lucky night. But she's going to take you down at least once. She did. She did more than once. But after that, she was negated every single time and beat to a pulp. Pretty much not pulp to a pulp, but she was beat up, essentially, and Jan beat her up. And in this case, that's what I feel like might happen to Carla. If Carla isn't able to get Jan to the ground and dominate her on the ground the way that Carla probably wants to, and it's weird because if you hear Carla talk in most of her interviews, it's almost like she's looking past Jan, which is amazing to me, because why would you look over Jan? Somebody who in her most recent fight, she just beat Gadelia, she just beat Kovacevic, whatever. In her prime, she was a very good fighter, but I guess at the time that she fought Jan, she just got obliterated. She beat Angela Hill, who's on a run right now. Kondo, don't really know of, and Pereira as well. So the fighters.
You don't know Siri Kondo, bro?
Hey, dude, I watch a lot of tape. Maybe I've seen it, but names I suck, man. So that's full transparency. So everybody watching. But anyway, then you have Tatiana Suarez. We haven't seen it in a while. John Jarova, Grasso, Watterson, and Rodriguez for Carla Esparza. So it makes sense why these girls are up for a title shot, whoever is the winner here. But I don't see, compared with the output and compared to how good of a striker I think Jan is and how much of a complete fighter I feel like Jan is, because you said it. If Jan can hold her way and her own with Claudia Gadelia on the ground and literally win a round off her back, that's huge. That's huge for somebody who is possibly going to get taken down, because Carla not getting a takedown, I mean, it's weird. She always gets a takedown in all of her fights, and I feel like she's going to at least get one here. But when she gets taken down, is she even going to do anything, or is she just going to hold and stall and grind her way to a mount or to a side? I mean, who knows? Me personally, I'm going Jan. I might pick her either straight up or throw her in a nice little parlay with her and Felicia Spencer, because Felicia Spencer's at minus 140. And Jan, I didn't really look at her line, but I don't think she's such a heavy favorite. So
yeah,
that might be
I'm bringing it up right now. I was going to tell you the one thing, Siri Kondo, I don't know if you remember, but that's the girl that Botello, it was a somewhat close fight. Botello early in the fight hit her with a liver kick and just put her on her back and finished her. First round. That was like 2000. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago.
Hold on, let me just.
I was actually at Waldo's house watching it when he lived in North Bergen. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, let me just see her face.
I think you were there. I think you were at that. I think we were watching at Waldo's house in North Bergen.
Yeah, you're right. Damn, 2018. Come on, dude. That makes sense why I don't remember her.
Serious. Well, listen, I remember that. I remember the kick into the ribs. I remember waiting for. I believe we ordered like 35 cheeseburgers that night, and we were waiting for McDonald's to come, and they canceled the order, and we couldn't get food, and the order didn't come until like 12:30. I remember that good, and that was 3 years ago. So I was hungry, bro. So
You're
again,
sick, man.
What I'm gonna tell you right now about this fight is, I think if you're gonna take either fighter, I really think this is going to decision. So if you want a little decision piece, fight goes to decision minus 355. It's not something that I want to put money on, but if you want to take something like Justin Tafa and take this minus 355 right here, maybe you can get yourself close to even money, something like that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at. I just think it's a coin flip fight, and if you have a lean either way, I think you take Carla by decision or you take Jan by decision. Like, my pick is going to be Carla. It's plus money, but like it's like a slight lean. I mean, this could go either way. Again, yesterday I said to you, if we did the podcast yesterday, I'm probably picking Jan. We do it today, it's like, I see Carla, she can get those takedowns. But then again, Jan was good off her back. I don't know, man. I'm going back and forth with this one. I just think it's going to go to decision.
Well, that's the safest pick for her to go to decision. I mean, well, for this fight to go to decision, or the over. Like for parlay pieces, if you want solid ones, I'd probably say this one going to decision is absolute. And probably if you have any other fight to be like, yeah, that's a dub, it's probably going to be Ben Rothwell. Like, out of all the other fights, because
I like Rothwell.
So like those two picks are pretty solid. I'd like them, put those together and like, let's say a five leg parlay, which I will be putting together as well, and I will be dropping later on in the week.
We'll call that the Anaconda. Let's call it
yeah. So I mean, those two pieces are locked in at the moment. Got to find 3 more solid picks, but if you want to go with a cheeky 2-teamer, like I said, you have Felicia Spencer at minus 145, which I already told you straight up. You probably go 3 units. And then you have Jan here at minus 125. I mean, Carla does seem enticing at plus 105, but I just don't think she gets the better of Jan, which is why I like her. Jan and Felicia Spencer, 2-teamer.
So, Drew, I'm going to make this pretty simple. I think that before tape study, I was on Rob Font. I was on Rob Font last week. I told Waldo, yourself, CG. I actually texted with CG back and forth a little bit the other night. I told him I was on Ron Font. And I just think that Rob Font is in a great spot in this main event. So let me introduce it. Rob Font, 18-4, 5'8", 71-inch reach. Cody Garbrandt, 12-3, 5'8", 65-inch reach. Guys, that 6-inch reach advantage is huge in this fight because Rob Font uses the jab. If you remember how he beat Marlon Moraes, it was with a jab that just destroyed him.
Hell.
Yeah, like he uses the jab. So in a lot of fights, the reach isn't that big of a deal, simply because of their fighting style. You know what I mean? But Rob Font uses that jab, right? New England Cartel. Like he's no joke, and he's a boxer, and he's fine on the ground. Like his grappling credentials, he's fine on the ground. But Cody Garbrandt, like, let's just go over the last few fights. Dillashaw beat him. Now again, yeah, he knocked down Dillashaw, sure, fine. But then Dillashaw beat him, and then Dillashaw beat him again. And then you go to Munoz, and Munoz knocked him out. And then you go to Sunsao, and he's probably losing the Sunsao fight until what was that, the end of round 2, where he gets that right hand, like kind of a little push.
The buzzer beater.
Push kick. Yeah, the buzzer beater at the end of round 2, and put a Sunsao, like hit him right on the chin. And again, Cody is capable. What he did to Dom Cruz when he beat Dom Cruz for the title was a clinic. It was an absolute striking clinic. I just don't know where that Cody is. He's gone in, and it's like the minute he knows he's in a fight, but the minute he gets punched in the face, something triggers, and he turns it into a brawl. And again, this isn't like earth-shattering breakdown here. You watch the fights, I'm sure everybody's saying the same thing. But it's just Cody wants to brawl. And if you get into a brawl with Rob Font, he's going to use that distance. He's going to jab. He's going to jab. As you come in, he's going to jab. And eventually he's going to wind up finishing you. So I'm taking Rob Font, and I think he's going to knock Cody Garbrandt out within, I think it's either going to be round 2 or round 3. So again, if you're doing the Deegan parlay like myself, I will be throwing round 2, round 3 into the parlay, and probably even Rob Font by knockout. Drew, I'm going to send it to you, and I'll have those odds up when you're ready, bro.
So this is a boxing match, pretty much. Yep. This is as close as a boxing match is going to go, and the only reason you're going to see probably a takedown here is because somebody's going to panic wrestle when they get stung. Now, Cody has the power advantage here. I'll give him that. He does have the power advantage because out of the two, although Rob Font, we just seen him knock out Marlon Moraes, and that looked impressive. It was a buildup with all the jabs, like you said, that led to that knockout. Because, I mean, those jabs were lightning, and they were lighting Marlon up. And we saw the result of that. Now, the reach is going to be the biggest thing here, too, because just like in the Marlon fight, I believe he had quite of a reach advantage, just like he's having quite of a reach advantage here. So if we're asking if he knows how to use it, absolutely. And the difference here is, I mean, some people might lean on the side that Cody Garbrandt is the better boxer here. He's the faster. He has the faster hands. He is lightning. But since losing twice and since put out 3 times very recently, that plays a lot on your mind. And if you hear him talk, right, if you want to talk about narrative, right, let's create a little narrative. If you hear him talk in most of his interviews, if you hear him talk in most of for instance, the media day, which I ironically have playing up right now, the media day coverage, he's pretty much just happy to be here. It's almost like, yeah, I'm so happy to be here. You know, I've been through a lot, which is great. Good for him. He had COVID. I'm so happy he recovered. So happy he's good. His family's good. Everything's great. But if you're somebody who's trying to make a resurgence, your name is No Love. Your ass better not just be happy to be here on Saturday night, because you're going up against a guy who's going to jab your head off. I don't know if anybody has seen the graphic that my buddy here, Steve, put up, but if you're looking at it, he picked Rob Font by death by punches. I mean, I honestly, it's funny as that sounds, but I feel like he said death by jabs.
By jabs, yeah.
Yeah, the way that he throws that jab and the way that Cody Garbrandt tends to get emotional in all of his fights, and honestly, I don't even think that he consciously does that. It's just the type of fighter he is. He gets stung 1 or 2 times, or gets caught with a good punch, and he's like, all right, well then fuck that. Everything goes out the window, and he starts to brawl. I mean, I think I tagged you on something on Twitter the other day where he'll be technical and he'll look beautiful for like a minute or two, and then for some reason just goes, you know what, the plan isn't working, and he decides to brawl. I don't get it. You see that in all the fights, and in those fights where he's been blanked, what did he do? You see on Tapology, right? There's this cool little graphic where it shows their last 5 fights, sorry. And he has a win, loss. And all of those losses, his striking looked good. And then what did he do? He started to brawl, and he got into a brawl, and he got blanked in a lot of those fights. I think in all 3 of them. If that doesn't do anything to your psyche, which again, I'm using narrative here, and him just happy to be here. When you have when you're going up against somebody who's really hungry after a long layoff in Rob Font, you better not just be happy to be here, man. And I feel like that's going to be the biggest thing that makes a difference this weekend is the hunger between the two, because they can both box, and Cody can knock him out. Don't get me wrong, dude. Rob Font has never been put out if you look at his track record. But whose chin has been tested more recently, and whose chin has failed recently? Cody's. And who has put people to sleep recently? Rob. So if you want to look for a way, we like that double chance bet a lot of the times. I'd probably go Rob Font, KO, or points here, because if it does go to decision and Cody, I mean, this has the markings of being fight of the night too. Don't get me wrong. These two dudes can have an absolute war, and we're in for the best fight of the year. I mean, these dudes can strike. Let's be real. If Cody can just be disciplined and be technical for 5 rounds, we might be this. I mean, think about the way that we saw Cody when he fought Dominic Cruz. When did he brawl in that fight? Never, because he stayed technical. He stayed on target. He stayed on game plan. But since that fight, we've never seen that Cody again, because every single time that he starts to feel himself, he starts to brawl, and he throws the game plan out of the window. I'm hoping he sticks to the game plan this week and brings a great fight. But even then, I still see Rob Font coming out ahead, and I see him getting it done.
So I'll throw up those odds so you can see what we have. And again, don't get me wrong. Rob Font, his BJJ is capable of finishing the fight. You know what I mean? He's not just striking. He's not the kind of guy like Drew who fights in all these BJJ tournaments and everything, which he may do that, but he got his start and he wanted to do MMA, and he did BJJ. You know what I mean? So he learned BJJ for MMA basically. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know his belt, but when you see him, he's pretty slick on the ground. He has a couple wins by submission. And again, Cody Garbrandt, I'm going to say that Rob Font's BJJ is probably better than Cody's. Cody's wrestling may be better. But again, once you're hurt, if the struggle goes down to the ground, is Rob going to be the one to slap on a sub, or is he going to be the one to try to finish him with strikes? I think he could do either. So it really is up to what he wants to do. But Drew, I'm on Rob Font. I'm on Rob Font to finish by KO. TKO, I wouldn't be surprised by submission. The line is pretty big. I think it's like plus 1,000. So again, if you wanted to throw it into a parlay just to something crazy, maybe like a 2-legger with plus 1,000 with another plus 600. That's a nice little piece there. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think Font's going to knock him out. And as I said earlier, rounds 2 or round 3. What do you think, bro? I'm
100% with you there, man. This fight, it's funny that under 2.5 rounds is very slight, right? You see that how it's minus 130. Yeah. And that's pretty much because people feel like that knockout is inevitable. Why? Because you're looking for Cody to start to brawl. And if he starts to brawl, man, it's almost like you should just, like, the second you see him brawl, just turn on the timer, because it's literally going to happen anytime soon, especially the way that Rob sets up that jab, man, which is a thing of beauty. And it's weird, right? Look at Rob Font's record. He's 18-4 to Cody's 12-3. You would think Cody has the more experience just because of how he's been advertised and how he made the run. He was a champion, all that good stuff. But the more experienced fighter here is Rob Font. The better striker here is Rob Font. The better boxer here is Rob Font. And Team Alpha Male product Cody Garbrandt, yeah, he's going to have wrestling. If you don't have wrestling and you're in Team Alpha Male, then you're doing it wrong. So he has some sort of wrestling. And his first sport was wrestling. He tried wrestling as a little kid. Then he found boxing and quit everything else and thought he was going to be a boxer, which he did go 32-1. So there's that. So he is a legit boxer. He has hands. And he said it himself that he feels like he's going to be one step ahead of Rob Font. But if he doesn't get past the jab, I don't see him being any further than right in front of Rob Font getting swept. So that's my take on it. Can't wait, dude.
I'll even give you right there, and then I'll let you finish this off, Drew. But like, you want something I think is really safe? Under 4.5 rounds in this, minus 245. I mean, throw that in a parlay. Under 3.5 rounds, minus 190. But under 4.5, minus 245. Take that and parlay that with Justin Tafa double chance, and you're probably getting plus money in that. I think that's very safe.
I think that's good, yeah. I mean, the only thing that worries me about the Justin Tafa fight is the way that he got caught. I mean, listen, the way he got caught with Jorgen literally, I think if you watch the replay, he literally closed his eyes and threw a punch. And it landed.
But that's because Tafa also was not patient. He charged them and he got caught. Like he legit, you said he got caught. He got caught.
100%. 100%.
I
But
think you
just
learn a lesson from that.
But just seeing him get caught like that, right, is what kind of worries me in that fight. Because remember, he doesn't have the reach advantage here. And that's the biggest thing here. You know what I'm saying? He's the smaller guy, and he doesn't have a reach advantage where it's like 3 inches. It's like 6. So it's significant. You know, so that fight, if anything, if I wanted to go with the pick, I'd probably say, how does the fight end? And I'd say knockout. It's not going to matter who did it, but I say knockout. Just because.
Again, here's my argument. Like, I could say, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but Rob Font, right? I know Rob Font uses the jab. So the reach is significant. Van der Rot, what does he use? I haven't seen anything in two fights. If I saw him use the jab, then I would be worried about it. But I think that Tafa is going to be patient, sit back. He's going to try to counter him. He's going to counter him with 2-piece, 3-piece combination, and just piece him up and point him out. And then when he hurts him, he'll go in for the kick. I think that's the safe way to play it.
Well, Justin does like the leg kick.
He does.
I mean, sorry. Yeah. So.
And he's southpaw. He can put that right into the ribs and maybe shut him down too. Or at the very least, right? Because it looks like Van der Rot comes in a little heavy. I'm not gonna lie. So again, how is his cardio? If you take some of those leg kicks, some body shots, like, bro, he's not lasting much longer than 6, 7, 8 minutes. He's gonna be exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, and it always comes down to it, especially in the sport of MMA, is experience, right? Jared does have that here, but Justin does have experience. May not be in MMA, but the man fights, and he has fought before. So that's why I feel comfortable going with Justin Tafa. It's just, me personally, I'm always going to be transparent. It scares me a little bit just because I saw a guy get caught like that. And if Jared, like you said, when he does win, he wins, by stoppage or knockout. So he has knocked people out. It's not like he can't. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a great night. Last week was kind of whatever. I made my money back with Charles Oliveira, which whoever bet Mike Chandler, I want to know why. Like, were you part of that hype train? Tell me why. Tell me why you bet Mike Chandler.
Why? Because I thought he was going to finish him in round 1.
I don't know. No. What do you thought? Dustin Hooker, like that Hooker situation was going to happen twice? I mean, listen, it almost did. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say, honestly, either way, whoever you bet on in that fight, you had a chance to win the fight.
No, absolutely. But listen, when the fight settled down and the dust settled of all Mike Chandler's little flurry, what happened? He was dominated every step of the way, dude. In the grappling department, he almost got choked out a couple times. Like,
he got out of it. He got his back taken and he got out of it. Let's just call a spade a spade. At the end of round 1, Chandler was minus 300 live betting.
I don't care about bro.
Just,
I hate those live numbers because me and you have personally seen a minus 5,000 lose. I don't care about those live numbers. I
How about
really
this
don't
one?
care.
I forget the fight, but remember a few weeks ago, the guy was like minus 500 and lost by decision. He was minus 500 at like the middle of round 3 and lost by decision.
Which is why I'm saying
who it was.
Those numbers to me are absolutely weird, especially with the way judging has been going during this pandemic.
I was going to say that. Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like all the good judges are still on leave and are just like, you know what? I'm not showing up until COVID or until I get my second shot or something, because the judges that they currently have on these cards are wild. The 30-27, 29-28, 29-28 is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well, again, I thought you were going to say it, but you made reference to it. The 30-27. The one fight last week that was 35. I forget the fighters, and I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But the one fighter was 30-27. His opponent then won on one scorecard 30-27. How do two judges see it so different? I forget what the fight was. I usually can recall this stuff and I can't remember. But I was just like, what? What are we talking about right here? Yeah, that was crazy. But Drew, yo, we out?
I'm out, bro. I'm out of talk.
What up? It's your boy DJ Naeem. I want to give a huge shout out. Going out to my Jersey boys breaking down these UFC cards, baby. Let's go.